He said, "Whatever's been done to the bed of this truck, I'm going to do to your face." All shops have really crazy customer stories, and I actually get asked from time to time, do you have any crazy customers? Do you ever have to put up with really crazy situations? And yes, I have several, but I have three that are really on the top of the list. Obviously, I'm not going to reveal any names, but I have some nicknames I've given these customers. And the first one we named is Mr. Snoopy. This was at a time when I was in Halstead at my second shop, kind of a mid-sized shop. I also had a Kansas dealer's license. I was selling cars, had a small car lot, and I also repaired cars, had that going on. And there was one customer that lived in town, an older gentleman, and again, he's Mr. Snoopy is what we called him. But I had done a little bit of work for him here or there, and he seemed really odd. But one day, his oddity increased exponentially. I was working in a car, and at the time I'd hired Dave, my office guy, and he came and got me. Also Dave. He said, "Dave, there's a guy in the office that just really is upset. He wants to speak with you." I was preparing myself for being screamed at, or I wasn't happy with the work, or something was wrong, and I was completely speechless when he revealed to me what he was upset about. He said, "I don't know why these cars are coming into your shop with glove boxes full of condoms." I was just speechless. I was like, "Excuse me?" He's like, "Yeah, I seen one of your guys' customers dropped off a car last night, and they put the key in the key drop, and I went through the car, checked it out." I said, "You did what?" He said, "Yeah." He says, "A lot of these cars, I go through and check them out, and I just get bored." And I got really upset at that point. I actually yelled at the guy. I was like, "These are customers' private property. You don't just go rummaging through the stuff." And I said, "What is this deal about condoms? What did that come from?" He said, "Well, this last one I opened the glove box, and a whole roll of them fell out on the floor." And it took me a few minutes to gather my thoughts. It was like I was expecting that something's broken. I was expecting that I need to call a tow truck. How is this even a concern that I need to be pulled off of a job? And then I said, "It is." Now I know it is a concern because this guy is going through people's cars. And I went back and looked at security footage, and I started looking in the evenings. Not only was he going through my customers' cars, he was going through some of the cars I had on my lot. If they happened to be left unlocked, he would be sitting in them. He'd pretend to be driving them. So this is a small town. It's 3,000 to 4,000 people. I got to asking around some of the residents. I was like, "Have you ever seen this guy before? You ever heard of this guy?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, he's crazy." After I realized this guy must have a mental illness, it's not worth yelling. I don't need to yell at him. I don't need to get mad at him. There must be something not right with the guy. I got in contact with the local police, and I said, "I really don't appreciate this guy going through my customers' cars. There could be money, there could be valuables." I started telling my customers at that point, I said, "When you drop off your car, make sure to lock the doors." Luckily, every night, the cops would make a round or two and check out the shop, make sure the guy is not around snooping through stuff. Okay, now customer number 2, I'll call this person Wild West. He brought a truck in because it was having issues running rough, and also had some air conditioning issues. I found out it was a vacuum leak. It really wasn't that big of a deal. It was causing the engine to run rough, and also was causing issues with the HVAC system because it was vacuum operated and it's no longer changing floor, vent, defrost, and all that. I got it fixed. I figured I had a happy customer. He paid his bill, and he left. And he came back the next day, and it was another one of those situations where Dave in the office came and got me. He says, "Dave, there's a guy in the office. He's really, really unhappy." And this guy said I dented and damaged his tailgate. I went out to look at the truck, and it had been caved in a little bit, but I was very sure it was that way when it came in. I remember seeing that before I had even took the car in. It was dented. And he was cursing. He was mad. And then I said, "I have this on security camera. I have footage of this that I know that it was dented." So I said, "Let's go take a look." We pulled it up on the screen, but it was nighttime, so it's black and white. You know how they go to night vision? I said, "See, look, there's your truck. There's the dent in the tailgate. That was the day that it arrived. It had already had the dent in the tailgate." He says, "That's not my truck. My truck's red. That one on the screen is white." Well, it's black and white because it's night vision. He just acted dumb and he was like, "No, that's not my truck. That one's white." I said, "Okay, okay." I knew at that point I'd been in business long enough. I said, "I tell you what, it's just a dent in the tailgate. Go and get a couple estimates from shops like a body shop and bring me the estimates and we'll discuss. Maybe I'll contribute a little bit to the repairs, or if it's cheap enough, I might just pay for it. I know that I didn't do this, but I'll go ahead and just take care of this for you because I want this matter resolved and I want you out of here." Later that day, I get a phone call from a very large body shop that was not far from me in Newton. They said, "Hey, we have this customer's truck that he said you dented the tailgate. He said that you bent the frame. He said that it was a whole list of things. The bed was tweaked. The tailgate would no longer close properly. We got an estimate here for $7,000, and he said go ahead and get started. So we've actually already got the bed off the vehicle." I said, "No, no, no, no. I've not authorized any repairs. I said to bring some estimates and we discuss where we would go with it." Then I knew this guy was running a game on me. I called the body shop back and I said, "No, I don't authorize that repair. I'm not paying for it." The owner of that shop knew something fishy was going on. He said, "We'll put the bed back on the truck and we'll just stop where we're at. We won't charge you anything and we'll put the truck outside." The next day, the owner of this truck that I was having so much trouble, Mr. Wild West, showed up to my shop and threatened me. He said, "Whatever's been done to the bed of this truck, I'm going to do to your face." I was like, "Really?" I don't take threats like that very mildly. I just looked him in the eye and I said, "Well, let's get to it, fella." And he stood there and he looked at me and he was shaking and he slammed my door, he got in his truck and left. And this is another instance where I got the police involved. I mentioned his name and they said, "Oh yeah, we know this guy. He's troublesome. He's very troublesome in the community." They went and talked with him, and he claimed he'd never seen me before. Long story short, I got my insurance company involved. I said, I don't know what's going to happen here. I'm afraid this guy is going to get violent with me. I don't know if he's going to cause issues. So they said they contacted him, and they told him, "When we get done with you, whatever you think that Omega owes you, it will be nothing compared to what you will owe us. We will take your house from you if we have to. We will not tolerate. This is fraud. You're trying to defraud our client." I never heard from the guy again, but that's not the end of the story. I had a Mercedes E550, who was still a good customer today, all of a sudden had a large dent, about this big, in the side of the car. He had dropped off the car the night before, and I came in the morning and there was the dent. I'm pretty sure, I don't know, I'm pretty sure that was retribution from that customer because he was so unhappy that he didn't get his way, and I did end up having to pay for that. I wanted to keep that customer. I paid for the damage. I think it was $1,400. And I still have the customer today. I'm glad I fixed it. And to conclude, crazy customer number 2. This customer sold this truck to a friend of mine. And when I asked my friend, "What was the real story with this truck bed thing? Did you ask him about the dent in the bed?" And my friend said, "Yeah, he mentioned that his son got drunk one night and backed into their RV hitch." So this was a total scam all along. And the last and final crazy customer, which is the top 3 of all of them that I've had multiple, I've had more than 3, but these are really the top 3. And the third one in this little series is one that I'll call Wacky Wendy. Tyler Hoover actually purchased a 745 that had Alpina wheels on it, and he did a video on it. He did everything he wanted to do with the car, and I bought it from him to sell on my lot. A lady came in, which is, you guys will know as Wacky Wendy. She purchased the car, paid cash for it. She really enjoyed the car. No issues with that transaction. But later on, she came back after purchasing the car and said she smells a fuel smell, gasoline. I said, "Well, that's unfortunate. We definitely would take a look at that for you. We'll see what's going on with that." She dropped it off. I drove it several times. I checked for fuel leaks. I put it on the lift. I didn't smell any fuel. I did notice by the fuel cap that there was like staining where fuel had been spilled at some point. But other than that, I didn't find anything wrong with the vehicle. I even had Mrs. Wizard go and drive it. I said, "Go take it for a longer spin because I can't be gone that long. I got things to do." I said, "There's a fuel smell. Maybe there's something going on after a long drive." And she went and drove it for quite a while and came back and she was like, I don't smell anything. It drives fine. There's no fuel smell." So I called the customer and I said, you can come pick up your car. I don't find anything wrong. I'm not even going to charge you. I don't see any fuel issues. I said, "But I did see a fuel spill down the side of the vehicle." And then she remembered that she'd been drinking pretty heavily that night. And she said, I know now what happened. I was filling it with gas. I spilled fuel all over my feet, all over my shoes, and I got in the car. She said the smell was so strong I almost passed out. She said, I parked the car at your shop and walked, I think, 3 miles home. And that's where you got the message on your answer machine, there's a fuel smell. There was never a fuel smell. She'd spilled it all over her. She said she drenched herself in gas. I don't know exactly how it all happened. I don't know the details. But there was multiple other instances of this customer doing work for them that every time the car would show up for work, I was immediately suspicious something really crazy has happened. And it was every single time. It was something similar to that. There wasn't anything wrong with the car. There was never any major repairs that needed to be done. It was always something really wacky like that.
We all love Amazon, but most of us have had that experience where you buy something with a lot of glowing reviews that shows up and is just a piece of garbage, and it wasn't what you thought you were buying. Unfortunately, Amazon can be full of bad actors and fake reviews and things that just don't live up to what you think is going to come in a day or two after you order it. That's why New on Amazon has been developed. It was developed by Patrick Kupolari, a friend of the channel, a good storyteller who's talked about BMWs and McLaren F1s and things like that, and he's a huge e-commerce expert, and you can learn more about that on his YouTube channel. But he built a site of trusted sellers, well-reviewed products, and things that he actually knows will show up looking the way that you want them to. And so it's a great way to filter out some of the noise and some of the bad products that you might otherwise discover on Amazon. So check out New on Amazon at the link in the description below, and thank them for supporting VINwiki this month.